Hello, Pankaj. Thank you so much for helping my project. Could you say a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I am Pankaj Mehta. I am currently a final year law student at Dharmashastra National Law University, India, and soon I'll, and uh, by September 2023 this year, I'll be joining Leiden University for my advanced LLM in air and space law. So yeah,
What got you interested in space law?
I'll be very honest. It was just a very random discussion which my contract professor was like trying to have with students in one of his lectures where he was trying to convince students that you should not always go for like traditional law practice, like you shouldn't think out of the box and just don't go for like practicing constitutional law or criminal law or civil law. Like go out and like maybe study sports law or entertainment law. And then he said space law. And then I did not know that something like space law exists. And I thought, wait, there is something called space law. I have to like look into it. And then once I started studying space law, I just realized that maybe this might be my way of manifesting my interest in space law and like my interest in work, manifest my interest in space in the field of law, and maybe that is how I get to work in the field of space because space in general has always fascinated me. Stars, galaxies, planets, everything out there has always fascinated me. But for some reason, I did not pursue science, engineering, and all those fields where you can actually contribute something substantial in terms of space exploration or all those things. And yeah, studying space law became my way of contributing and manifesting my interest in space. So yeah,
That's amazing. Now, your interest in space, though, where did that come from?
I it just maybe it is the mysteries that space holds. Like outer space in general holds so many mysteries, and the universe in general is very mysterious. So I don't know. I just have an interest in space. I cannot pinpoint where or how did I develop this interest, but it has always been there for some reason. I always like studying about stars and planets, and yeah, even it because even astrology at one point. Yeah, like I don't know. It has always been there.
Um, in space law, what are the types of legal issues that come up?
Oh, okay. So there are a lot of, I would say, legal issues, and space foreign policy is a developing area, and therefore issues and legal disputes uh, of new or novel needs. We are actually facing legal disputes of novel nature. So, if I have to talk about legal disputes, starting from the basic five treaties which we have on basic five international treaties which we have in international space law, then issues like uh, liability in case of damage to space object may arise. There have been cases, for example, Cosmos 954 is an example of the a case where it was essential to ascertain the liability. The Russian satellite crashed in the Canadian territory, causing a lot of damage because this was a nuclear-based satellite. Although liability convention was never invoked and the case never went to maybe ICJ or for dispute resolution PCA, and it was an out of court settlement, if I remember correctly, and they were paid off. So yeah, issues of this kind may arise. This is like one category of issues. Then there is an intersection of telecommunications law and international space law, because a part of telecommunication involves satellite communication, and satellite communication, spectrum allocation, all this is governed by the ITU. So cases of harmful interferences are dealt by the ITU dispute resolution body and everything. And there are also competition law compliances when it comes to spectrum allocation. And recently, I have been studying on spectrum trading and how spectrum is a very limited resource. This side of telecommunication, the intersection of telecommunication, international telecommunication law, and space law, basically satellite communication, has really intrigued my interest. Other in other issues involve militarization of outer space, militarization and weaponization, how militarization is different from weaponization, and how you cannot weaponize the outer space. But again, there are a lot of debates that take place revolving around the weaponization and militarization of outer space. Then, very recently, there are debates of ASAT tests and how countries are moving forward. And USA is one of the propounders and trying to promote. USA is one of those countries which is trying to promote that we should not go for ASAT tests and like we should ban them and countries should not practice them because they so they are really dangerous to space assets out there. And one when you perform an ASAT test in outer space, it actually creates a lot of debris, and this debris can lead to damage to functional space assets, and therefore moving taking us back to liability convention and then ascertaining liability. And when the piece of debris is like very small, it is really hard to ascertain which state would should be held liable because we do not know uh, whether this piece of debris belongs to state A, B, or maybe some other state. Then on commercial side, there is another not. It is a legal issue, but again, it involves a lot of commercial financial aspects, uh, where we are talking about how startups need access to finance so that they can sustain in the space industry. I was in Italy working at the International Institute for Unification of Private Law. I was an intern there last year, and I was working on their space protocol project, and I got to learn a lot about how uh, the financiers and venture capitalists look or what are their views on financing space projects and what how risky it is to uh, finance a project in space, and therefore startups have been facing so many problems, and therefore how important it is to get space protocol enforced. So yeah, on top of my mind, these are some major legal issues.
No, that's quite a wide range, and then even looking further out, you
Exactly.
have like the head of NASA in front of Congress talking about why we need to get to the moon first because,
Yeah,
China might get there first and they might claim the whole
exactly.
thing. And it's just like, I mean, what do you think about that discussion?
Oh, so legally speaking, it no state, like as per outer space treaty, no space can appropriate outer space or claim sovereignty on any celestial object or outer space. But politically speaking, and because the statement I just gave about outer space treaty and how it contains a provision where you cannot claim sovereignty is just a statement which I gave in terms of the legal domain, and divorcing law from all the other subjects, be it international politics, be it national politics, uh, be it international relations, and just speaking in terms of law. But nothing in today's world, or the subject of law as it is, does not operate in isolation, or you can, or put it easily, you cannot divorce it from other subjects. And therefore politics, international relations, these all power politics, everything will come into picture, and you'll have to look at all together. And therefore, maybe, yeah, it is possible that if China gets there first, they might try to claim sovereignty, and they'll be like, yeah, we don't care about uh, whatever outer space treaty says. We'll just claim sovereignty. Or they might go uh, another way. So I was reading a paper. It was, I think, 3 or 4 years ago. Uh, I don't remember the name of uh, the author, but I remember what he argued. So, outer space treaty says that we cannot appropriate outer space, correct? And we cannot claim sovereignty in outer space. Now, when we talk about lower Earth orbit, for example, the lower Earth orbit, as it has been declared a limited natural resource. Take it, take it to be a form of maybe a tube. Let us consider a lower Earth orbit to be a tube. And in this tube, you can only fit in limited amount of objects. After that, you cannot put in any more objects out there. So once you launch a satellite is going to occupy space in lower Earth orbit for a very, very long time. It is not coming down or going or maybe switching to the graveyard orbit anytime soon. And therefore, does it not amount to appropriation? Because uh, piece of satellite is going, or piece of space object or asset is going to occupy space in lower Earth orbit, and it is not going to allow anyone else to use that same space for a very, very long time. So, does this not amount to appropriation? Does this not amount to exercise of sovereignty in space? So, that is one question which this author, I think it is the first name of the author is Stefan. I don't remember the last name, but yeah, this is what he has like argued. One of his arguments, that does it not amount to appropriation? So maybe with the case of Moon, uh, it is possible that some other country, or maybe the countries which reach there, might try to uh, pull such a stunt, or yeah, they might try to argue this key. Yeah, or they might try it.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I've heard what you said about the outer space treaty keeping you from appropriating, but also in the outer space treaty, it talks about non-interference. So if
Yeah,
you have operations in a place, then you kind of, just like in your limited low Earth orbit analysis, you have that same thing applying to the surface of the moon, where you can have operations kind of scattered throughout. Um,
exactly,
and
exactly.
so it's definitely, I mean, there's definitely a lot of work for space lawyers to figure out. The
Yeah.
thing is, um, how does, like, would it only be governments trying to figure this out, or would you have like private industry hiring space lawyers to kind of navigate this? How does it look like from an employment side?
I think it is not just going to be the government, because now everywhere, like now every state has realized the value of privatizing and commercializing space. Two of them being two different concepts, and the governments have realized uh, how important it is to let private players enter the space industry, because it is generating revenue across the globe. Like US, Russia. These are the states which realized the value of privatization way early, and they are reaping the reward for such realization. India, like my country, has very recently realized the value of privatization of space. And it was only in 2020 that they realized that they opened up the space sector. And it was 2 days ago that they released a policy document on how privatization of outer space would look like, what all institutions would be responsible, what would be the role of ISRO in space, NSIL, everything. Like it is an 11-page document, and now based on that document, these institutions will be releasing rules, regulations, guidelines, and whatnot. So yeah, countries, states, governments, basically, are have are in the process of realizing the value of privatization of space, and therefore a lot of private companies would be involved about when it comes to space exploration and in future landing humans on moon. I don't think it would just the idea of landing humans on moon or sending humans back to moon uh, is an idea which would stay limited to the governments. I think, yeah, what is stopping Elon Musk from sending humans to moon? Like, yeah, why not? Because he is the kind of person who is very uh, crazy about space exploration. So yeah, what would be stopping him and like uh, other people from other private entities from sending humans back to moon? And once that happens, then yeah, I think they'll have space lawyers working on disputes that arise. There are firms in Europe, one specifically in Germany, which practices space law. It practices space law in general. Then there are multiple firms I have seen in the Europe. Uh, they have a specific division or team dedicated for space law and policy, and they take care of matters of compliances and everything. So yeah, I think this would be a new issue, and companies uh, going for space ventures, space exploration would be hiring lawyers. And given that outer space resource exploration or resource extraction is something which is there uh, in everyone's mind, and it is the future of space exploration, then yeah, definitely they'll be needing space lawyers for all kinds of legal stuff. So yeah, I think we'll have like more people working in the field of space law, and they'll be needing more people. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, you mentioned going back to the moon. When did you find out that NASA is planning to send astronauts back to the moon?
Uh, I don't remember exactly, but I think it was as soon as NASA announced that they were sending humans back to moon. I think, yeah, it has to be then because I follow NASA on Instagram, and I keep following news on space law and like space in general. So I might have read it as soon as they released the news. Uh, a few days ago, I think they also released a picture of all the astronauts who would be going back to the moon. So yeah, I remember that, reading about that on LinkedIn, on Instagram, and even on news. So yeah, I think it was as soon as they released the news that they'll be sending astronauts back to moon. Yeah,
What do you think about us going back to the moon?
I think this is a really great step toward when it comes to the idea and the future of space exploration. Because yeah, to be very honest, as humans we are not doing a very great job in protecting uh, this planet. And I think that yeah, if we continue to do a bad job in protecting the environment of this earth, then eventually a time in a point in time will come that we'll have to think about leaving this planet. I mean, yeah, I might sound crazy and I might sound like a guy who watches a lot of science fiction and series on Netflix which are based on this idea that yeah, we'll have to leave the planet because this planet is like dying and everything. And maybe I sound like the guy who has watched Interstellar so many times, but somewhere down the line, maybe 100, 200, I don't know how many years. I'm not saying it is going, it is turning into reality anytime soon, but it is a possibility that it will turn into reality that we'll have to leave this planet so that we can survive. And if we keep this factor in mind, then sending humans back to moon is a huge step uh, when it comes to establishment of colonies in outer space, like col- lunar. I have heard about lunar projects and how they are planning to uh, build human colonies on Moon, on Mars, or and maybe on other planets which are habitable and where life could sustain. Recently I was also reading about I recently I came across an article where they were talking about one of the moons of Jupiter, which is suitable for life, which is suitable to sustain life. And yeah, I keep coming across all such articles where they talk about yeah, this planet or this piece of celestial body is like suitable for sustaining human life or life in general. My question is, why do people keep talking about sustaining human life on some other uh, celestial body? The answer is simple, that even they are scared of messing up and destroying this planet to an extent that it cannot support life anymore and we'll have to move out of the planet. So yeah, uh, this project of NASA sending humans back to moon uh, sounds like a great initiative towards ensuring that we are preparing just in case we mess up with Earth and we have to move out. So yeah, it sounds like a great initiative, and I think uh, it might be a milestone for the human race in general because after so many years, humans are going back to moon. So yeah, it sounds great. It sounds amazing, and it actually marks the progress of a lot of things. Like it's a huge thing to send humans back to moon. It tells how technology has advanced. It tells in general how human race has advanced after so many years and after all those years when humans first landed on moon. So yeah, it sounds amazing.
I wanted to, dig a little bit deeper into. Uh, we need to explore the solar system in order to find some place to
Mhm,
go to if we do something to the Earth. Um, Now, the moon has no atmosphere. It has
mhm,
14 days of daylight, 14 days of darkness. In the daylight, it's extreme high temperatures. In the darkness, extreme cold temperatures. So, not a place that you can live without having some type of facility constructed. The same thing true of Mars. Mars is very cold. It has a very, very thin atmosphere, almost made entirely of carbon dioxide, not breathable by humans. Water is, frozen, along with like carbon dioxide in the poles. Venus is, extremely hot, very high pressure atmosphere. We send probes to Venus, and they've only lasted it for a few seconds. in the atmosphere. Jupiter, is going to be like 5, 6, 7, 8 years travel time to get to Jupiter
Yeah,
and its moons. So the question I have for you is, if we mess up the Earth, why not just build those types of facilities that you would use on the moon or Mars or Venus here on the Earth, and then people go walk into them instead of having to take a rocket to get to them?
that is an interesting question. And yeah, but again, I think if it would be possible, if at all it is possible to do that, then of course, I think the first step of the governments across the world would be this, that if the atmosphere, the environment on Earth uh, has been damaged, but it has not been damaged to an extent that it won't be able to support life in these, as you mentioned, the I forgot the name. Sorry, uh, the probes or the I forgot. You just mentioned
Venus,
these.
Moon, and
Yeah, yeah. The kind of modules I would say we would require to because whenever we talk about space exploration, there has to be some kind of module in which humans can actually sustain, uh, right? And if we are able to set up these modules here on Earth, then you don't have to take a rocket. You can go to some other planet and then live in these modules in on that planet. But it is only possible when we have that kind of suitable environment to support these modules. But what? But in case the environment on Earth turns too hostile, like really, really hostile, then I don't think we'll have an option like to stay on this planet. So yeah, I am just talking. I'm just also keeping in mind the worst case scenario where the environment of this planet turns too hostile to too hostile that even the environment of Mars or Moon looks like very welcoming. I'm talking about such a situation where, like, really, you can if you stay on Earth, you will. Uh, it is no meaning it won't be a good option to consider to stay on Moon. I'm just talking about that situation where uh, the environment turns very hostile. But yeah, in case the environment is not all those days when all those years until the environment turns too hostile for survival, then yeah, it sounds like a good idea to maybe have that kind of system where you don't have to take a rocket and you can like still live here. But yeah, keeping in mind how we are like not succeeding in protecting the environment of Earth, uh, yeah, I think we are moving towards the day when the environment of this earth will turn too hostile for our survival. So yeah,
when you think about the future of humanity, say 200 years out, what does it look like
Mhm.
to you?
Hmm. That's an interesting question. One of the things I'm like 200. If I have to imagine our future 200 years from now, then one I am like sure about maybe one thing. If everything goes right, like no maybe third world war or anything like that coming in way of our progress as human as a race in general. Space exploration and uh, extraction of space resources, asteroid mining might have turned into a reality, and lawyers, space lawyers would be would get involved, and they'll have like a new area in space law to work on, and yeah, it will benefit uh, the humans in general a lot. uh, and yeah, like that is something on top of my mind, that space exploration, space resource extraction would have turned into a might turn into a reality 200 years, definitely. I think would turn into a reality. uh, and maybe I think we are already facing the issue of crowding of the orbits uh, with the projects that are Starlink, OneWeb. Uh, I think 200 years from now, maybe if we are not cautious enough, then we won't have a dark sky to look up. We might not be able to see the stars as we are able to see them today, because Starlink alone plans to launch around 50,000 satellites so that they can create a satellite constellation which would provide speedy access to internet. And this is just Starlink we are talking about. And I might be wrong about the figures. 50,000 might be less. It might They might be planning to launch like 100,000 satellites to create the satellite constellation. And this is just Starlink. Starlink has its competitors, which are OneWeb, Project Cooper, and China and Russia are planning to have their own government facilitated satellite constellation so that they can give access to internet via satellites. And with all these projects out there trying to launch hundred thousands, like around 50,000 or more satellites, definitely 200 years from now, I believe that we might not have a dark sky to look up to. And right now, there are scholars who talk about dark sky protection and silent sky protection. And right now, we are talking about it. They are trying to educate people about how it is important to protect dark sky and how it is important for us to like look up to a sky which is full of stars. But that might not be the case 200 years from now if uh, people who are into the business of space exploration or commercial space industry realize that there is a need for dark sky protection. So yeah, from 200 years from now, we might not have a dark sky to look up. So that is like two things on top of my mind right now. Yeah,
And when, if you could, would you take a trip to space?
I definitely would. I definitely would. Yeah, I have always had an interest in stars, space, planets, galaxies, and whatnot. And I am the kind of person who always tries to understand what you cannot understand, or some things, or things which have like mysteries. So yeah, I would definitely like to definitely, if I get a chance, then I would definitely like to take a trip. Yeah,
Well, Pankaj, thank you so much for speaking with me. Those were pretty much the questions I had, and I know we talked about a wide range of topics, but is there something else that you'd like to talk about?
um, I think we have like covered most of it, and I don't think right now I have anything else to talk about. Yeah, but yeah, I would like to tell this to everyone that this is an amazing project, sending humans back to moon. It is amazing, and the work you are doing, like interviewing people, it is really an awesome initiative, because I got to learn about this interview session uh, through a colleague of mine. She's a director at the Spaceport Foundation. Spaceport Foundation is a not-for-profit organization which promotes study and education of spaceborne policy, and it is a US-based organization. So I got to learn about this interview session through there, and I was like, yeah, why not? I would definitely like to contribute to this series. So yeah, that is how I got to know about it, and yeah, I don't think I have like anything more specific to talk about. I think we have covered like a wide range of topics, and that is like more than enough.
I really appreciate it. And, I'm interested in talking to anybody that's willing to talk, regardless of their
Mhm.
views or background or interests. So if you know of other people who would be willing to participate, I hope you'll pass along the
Yes,
information.
I'll definitely do that. I'll definitely do that. Yeah,
Well, thank you so much. I hope you have a good rest of your day and
thank you.
take
Thank you
care.
so much, I think, and I hope you enjoy the day. It seems like a very fine morning, and I hope you enjoy it. Like right now, it is raining here, and it is a little windy, and I like this weather. So yeah, I hope I enjoy it while it lasts.
Sounds good. Well, take care. Bye bye.
Take care. Bye bye.